Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. We are here with another Hunter x Hunter review, and this time we've got episode 44 and 45. And a lot happened. And boy, some of it was exciting, some of it is getting me hyped for the next couple episodes, but check it out. We ended episode 43 with the Shadow Beast showing up about to fight Uvogin. 44 takes off right from there, and Uvogin was there literally just finishing off the last of the Mafia. The Shadow Beasts roll up, and they're all big and bad. Uvogin tells the other Shadow Beasts, don't worry, I got this. So they're all still up playing cards, and then this ugly-ass guy, I believe his name was Worm, shows up, jumps up from underground behind Uvo, punches him in the face, literally breaks his hand on Uvo's face. Like, it's nasty. He ends up grabbing Uvo's arm and pulls his arm underground, and basically like threatens him. He's like, what are you going to have the other Shadow Beast kill you up top, or am I going to kill you on the ground? Uvo laughs at him, focuses all his aura into his fist, and hits the ground so hard that the ground blows away, and majority of the rockets disintegrate, and all you see is Worm's arm left. It was wild. When Uvo hit the ground, not only did he, blow away all the ground, he actually blew off his own shirt, and that's when these guys realized Kurapika, his PTSD started kicking in, and the Shadow Beasts were like freaking out for a second, but then they still went after him. The other Shadow Beasts attack. The first one to go at him, I guess his name was Porcupine, because he controls the hairs on his body, and they block Uvogin's punch and wrap around his arm so he can't shake him off. Uvogin tries to use his body to hit another Shadow Beast, and I guess he can relax his hair whenever he wants, so he couldn't hurt the other Shadow Beast with it. Then one of the Shadow Beasts rushes by Uvogin and rips a chunk out of his shoulder by biting through him, which is wild because this dude's skin is like iron. And he rushes by, rips a chunk out of his leg, tells Uvogin that his fangs injected neurotoxin into him, and then Uvogin starts stumbling. He ends up sitting on the ground, and I guess this toxin basically shuts down everything from his neck down, but still allows him to feel pain and lets his head still move. Then this ugly-ass dude named Leech, I know these guys are wild, comes up behind Uvogin and literally has his tongue in Uvogin's wound. Apparently he's injecting leeches into Uvogin, and they're all going to lay their eggs in Uvogin's bladder, and he's going to die. It was nasty. Uvogin can't move because of the neurotoxin. He's got a dude on his arm, and all he can move is his head. Uvo basically said that he only needs his neck and his head to kill them. Well, Uvogin does the unthinkable. He literally twists his neck over and bites a chunk out of this dude's skull. Like, I'm not lying. It's just wild. He literally starts chewing, and he's just like, that tasted disgusting. I thought, the uglier you are, the better you're supposed to taste. Well, he takes a huge breath in and spits out a piece of this dude's skull at the dude that bit him, because he was keeping his distance from Uvo so he wouldn't get bit too. He uses Nen in his hand to try and block it. It goes through his Nen-infused hand and straight through his skull, and he dies instantly. And as for the last guy, he's all confident. He's like, he can't do that to me. If he tries to shoot a piece of bone at me, my hair will just block any projectile. I'm fine. He takes another big breath in. The Phantom Troupe all start covering their ears. And he screams at this dude point blank so loud and so hard that the sound wave of it hits Kurapika's group like easily almost a mile away. And he blows this dude's eardrums out, and the dude just dies from the damage from the sound. It's wild. The Shadow Beasts are all dead. Uvogin calls down to Shizuku to kind of try and suck the poison and leeches out. We actually find out that Shizuku's vacuum doesn't work on living things. They didn't mention that in the last episode. Shizuku jumps down there. Blonde-haired kid, still learning all their names. Turns out he's a smart one. He looks at one of the leeches and basically explains to him that Uvo's got to pound back a bunch of beers, and he has to pee out the eggs before they hatch. I guess they need a certain amount of ammonia to hatch, or they won't, and that's what the beer's for. While this is all happening with Uvo, Kurapika starts going down there because he's like, I'm gonna go and, it's the Phantom Troupe, I'm going after them. Dotsone, the security group leader, tries to stop him, and Kurapika's ready to spaz out. Melody actually plays a flute and plays a melody that's supposed to calm everybody down. So they calm down and they start thinking about what they're gonna do. Kurapika still tells him, I have the best chance of getting him, even knowing all he does. Dotsone freaks out, he's like, you think you can still catch him even though he's that powerful? And he does. He goes off. Right before they suck the poison out of Uvo, Kurapika's chains wrap around him and literally yank him into the sky. It was wild. None of the Phantom Troupe had time to react, except for one. I'm sorry, I still don't know her name, but she's the one that stitched together Hisoka's arms, and she throws a needle with her nen threads and sticks it into Uvogin. They drive off. Everybody leaves. The Phantom Troupe follows Kurapika's crew because of the needle and thread. While they're driving away from the Phantom Troupe, we get a quick shot of Kurapika, tightening his chains on Uvogin, and it turns out that this is his chain jail, and he makes a really important explanation that I don't 100% understand, but I'm hoping you guys do. He explains that he made a condition with himself, and it shows a dagger in his heart that he uses these chains to bind and restrain the Phantom Troupe and no one else, and should he break that, he'll die. But it's just a form of showing his conviction, and yeah, and I guess the stronger his conviction, the stronger his nen, and that's how he's able to hold Uvogin down. They're trying to drive and get away. The car starts pulling up behind them. They're like, how they followed us. Kurapika uses Gyo and he sees the thread. They pull it out, and right as the Phantom Troupe's about to catch the security team, another one of the Phantom Beasts comes out of the sky and literally lands on their car. This dude looks silly, but then he wraps the entire car in basically a giant blanket or giant handkerchief, and it wraps around the car, and the car immediately shrinks, with one of the Phantom Troops still in it. The other four were able to get out because there was 5 of them in the car, and they want to go after this guy because they realize that he's the one who took the loot. Thread Girl ends up catching him, and right before she catches him, the rest of the Shadow Beasts come out. It's literally all of them. Dude in all black, I learned his name, Phaeton. Phaeton takes out 3 of them. Shizuku takes out the other 2. And Thread Girl wraps up the owl and tells him if he moves that he's going to get sliced to pieces. And they take him with them because they're going to let Phaeton torture him to find out where the goods are. Turns out Phaeton is a torture master. They even say that he's got the worst luck. They force him to regrow the car, and they take him away. It cuts to Uvogin waking up, now in captivity. The security team has pumped him full of muscle relaxers and sleeping drugs, and basically have him strapped down in like metal wires and stuff. Like he ain't going nowhere, especially since he can't move his body. They plan on torturing him to get the information on the goods. Dotsone tries to intimidate him, fails miserably. He takes a sword and goes to stab him. Uvo flexes his aura and it just destroys the sword. They're all freaking out, like, what are we gonna do? Uvo tries to make a deal with them. He's like, if you guys don't let me go, I'll let you all live. At first, they're like, nah, we still gotta find out where all the goods are. He explains that they didn't take the goods. That since they don't know where the goods are, he has no business with them. Just let them go, and it's all good. Well, Kurapika is the only one with his head on his shoulders because everybody's terrified of this dude. They watched him tear 30 people to pieces, beat the Shadow Beasts, and now he's offering to let them live, and he doesn't have what they want. Well, Kurapika says, what about the people that you killed? The people at the auction. Our comrades were there. And he's just like, yeah, well, that sucks because we killed them all. So Kurapika punches him in the face, and he's like, F your deal, and they end up leaving. It cuts back to the Phantom Troupe, and they're talking about what the goods are. Turns out Phaeton was a little upset. Cuts to him with a book. That's the guy in the background that he tortured. and he did not have a good time. Even Phaeton didn't. He's like, he gave it up too early. As soon as I started to get into the good stuff, he just, gave it away. It goes over to Hisoka with the rest of them, and Hisoka ends up leaving because he's like, I got business with I'm supposed to meet somebody. I'll be back in a little while. Their boss says, as long as you're back by tomorrow, I don't care. They say that they have a lead on where Uvos actually is, and it shows Dolzone calling the mafia to turn over Uvogin. Turns out the people that Dolzone was talking to was this guy with a dart in his neck, being controlled by another one of the Shadow Beasts. It's the blonde-haired kid. I know, I gotta learn his name. I'm learning them all one by one. We get a clip of Kurapika, thinking about his the comrades from the security team that died, and he starts getting mad, but then Melody shows up and he starts to calm down. Then he gets a text, and you could tell it's from Hisoka, because he basically says, let's meet up at the agreed time at the agreed place, and it has a heart, because, Hisoka. And they actually meet in an amusement park, where Hisoka starts giving him information about the Phantom Troupe, says that he knows some of their powers, and you can join the Phantom Troupe by killing off one of the current members, and he tells him that he replaced the number 4 because he wants to fight the leader, that the leader's strong, and that just thinking about it turns on. And he offers Kurapika the chance to team up, because he has a bunch of information. Kurapika knows that Kurapika is going after the Phantom Troupe, and he's hoping that he'll be able to use him to get an opening to fight their boss. It goes back to Dolzone, and the mafia shows up, and he lets them in so that way they can take Uvogin. And as soon as they go in, Uvogin makes a remark that basically gives away what's going on. He's just like, the suit really does make the man. And a dude literally puts his arm through Dolzone's chest, and Dolzone dies. It turns out it was actually the rest of the Phantom Troupe. They start taking off, the suit. Shizuku sucks the poison out of Uvogin, and Uvogin just basically flexes his muscles and shatters all that metal that was holding him down. And he gets up and he spazzes out, and he is so pissed about the fact that he basically got embarrassed by Kurapika, and all he wants to do is beat the out of the chain user. Honestly, I was a little surprised. Not just the fact that he could just, flex and rip himself out, but I get it. He's very prideful. Sorry. He yells. Everybody hears him. They all run out as he starts ripping through the hotel room, and everybody's gone. And all he wants to do is go after Kurapika. It shows one more shot of Kurapika with Hisoka, and that's where the episode ends off. Like I said, this felt so fast when I was watching it because I was so into it. Anyway, that's it for this breakdown, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please drop a like, subscribe if you're new. We're going to try to knock out episode 46 and 47 tomorrow. Apparently that's where things really come to a head and start getting nuts, even though I think these two are nuts, but I'm excited. Well, that's it for this video, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Later.